Hey friends, welcome back. If you're new here, hi, my name is Shayna, and in my little corner of the internet, we talk about spooky history of all kinds. If you enjoy my content, be sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell because I am here for you every Wednesday. Last week in part 1, we talked about the DeFeo family murders, and today's video is part 2 of the series. So if you missed part 1, I'll link it up here for you. So without further ado, let's talk about the Lutz family. Now, the Lutz family consisted of Kathy and George, and Kathy had 3 children from a previous marriage, Daniel, Missy, and Christopher. George would later adopt them after him and Kathy got married in 1974. Soon after that, they would begin house shopping and come across this beautiful home at 112 Ocean Avenue in Amityville, New York. They fell in love with this 5-bedroom, 3.5-bath colonial home, and they couldn't resist it because it was a steal. Now, I read 2 sources. One of them said that they bought the home for $60,000 and the other said they bought the home for $80,000. So I'm not exactly sure which is true. Either way, it was a pretty good deal for what they were getting. So after showing the home, the realtor decided to tell them why the home was so cheap to see if they still wanted to buy it. Now, we don't know exactly what the Lutz's intentions were when buying this house after they found out a bunch of people were murdered in it. We don't know if they knew before they went and looked at the house or not, but they are claiming that they had no idea about the murders until the realtor told them. Surprisingly, the murders didn't bother them and they wanted to move on with purchasing the home. And they ended up buying this home on December 18th of 1975. Guys, that's just 13 months after the murders. So the DeFeo case was still fresh on people's minds. And I'm sure when moving in or before moving in, people told stories about it. Maybe people speculated about it being haunted before the Lutzes moved in. I don't know. It's just my assumptions. Now, they were given the opportunity to purchase the DeFeo family's personal belongings because everything was still in the house. Nothing was taken out. All of their furniture, all of their clothes, everything was still there. And they had the opportunity to purchase all that for as low as $400. And well, by golly, they decided to take that deal, which I find very creepy. Now, on move-in day, they decided to have a priest come in and bless the house. So while the family was unloading stuff, the priest decided to go into the house and start his blessings. And he worked his way upstairs and went into what used to be Mark and John's bedroom. As he prayed and sprinkled his holy water, he heard this deep voice telling him to get out. And then soon, hundreds of flies just started to swarm the room. Mind you, this is December in New York. There should not be any flies out right now. It's cold. And as the priest leaves, he asks the family what they're gonna turn that specific room into. And they said it was gonna be their sewing room. You know what he tells them? Oh, good. I suggest not letting anyone sleep in that room. Why would he not say anything? Why would he not tell them or advise them to not move in at all? I'm sorry, but if I was in that situation and I found out later after all the hauntings that this priest went in, blessed the home, and said he heard some evil voice saying get out and all of a sudden was swarmed with flies, I'd be suing. The first night in the home for the Lutz family was very odd. They said the family's personalities just drastically changed. Kathy and George said that the children just all of a sudden became brats and had to beat them with wooden spoons and straps. Moving on. Now, throughout their stay in the home, they would note how they would experience these odd smells throughout different parts of the house. Black stains would appear in the toilets that even Clorox couldn't clean. Very gross, by the way. Yeah. Oh, also, apparently green slime would run down the walls.
And the walls will ooze green slime! Oh, wait, they always do that.
They would wake up in the mornings and find this green goop on the floor, kind of like a jello substance, and they would wipe it up. It would reappear the next morning. So very weird. And what I forgot to mention was all of these hauntings that I'm talking about is happening within a span of 28 days. It's not all in one day. I don't know. I don't remember if I mentioned that, but I just wanted to add that in there. I don't have the exact timeline of when these hauntings happened. I just know they only stayed in the house for 28 days. Now, one night they were in the sewing room and the same thing happened to them that happened to the priest with the flies. Hundreds just swarmed the room somehow and they're not exactly sure where they came from. on. They believed it was something demonic that was haunting the house because all of the crosses and crucifixes that were left over from the DeFeo family that they just kind of left on the walls were turned upside down. And that is usually a symbol of demonic entity. And soon after this is when it would get physical. Kathy would start to feel these touches by something she couldn't see, and then also she would just pass out randomly. And George would constantly get these chills, so he was always seen by the fire trying to keep warm. He would also state that he would regularly wake up at 3:15 a.m. Y'all remember what happened at 3:15 a.m.? Huh? Well, if you don't, then you didn't watch part 1, so go back and watch part 1. Okay, now that they're gone, 3:15 was when Butch killed his family. So George believed that with him waking up at the same time that the murders happened, he felt that all the hauntings that were happening was a connection to that. Now this would be very traumatizing for me. George woke up one night and saw his wife Kathy transform into a 90-year-old woman. Yep, she would then turn back to normal by the next morning. I wonder how Kathy felt in that situation. I'd be freaking out. The next morning, George woke up and realized he couldn't move, like he was suffering from sleep paralysis or something was holding him down. But he looked over at his wife, Kathy, and realized that she was levitating. Yeah, you heard that right. Floating above the bed. Rising up and up. Somehow, he was able to get the strength and lift up his arm to grab her. She wouldn't float away. The next day, they decided to call the same priest that came out the first time to have him come back and re-bless the home. Well, the priest declined, claiming that he was suffering from effects from the first time he went to bless the home. And then soon after this, they claimed that their daughter, Missy, befriended this imaginary red-eyed pig named Jody. Missy told her parents that sometimes Jody would be the size of a little teddy bear. Other times Jody would be the size of the house. That sounds terrifying. First of all, when I was younger, there is no way I would have befriended a red-eyed pig. That is not appealing to a little girl, in my opinion. It doesn't sound friendly at all, especially if it can get as big as a house. It's a little ridiculous. Nope, nope, nope. Soon after they found out about Missy's little friend, George and Kathy started noticing these red eyes peering at them through windows or in the shadows. And so they started to link those two together. One night, George was outside and he was looking up towards the house, and he looked up at Missy's window and he saw this big black mass in the window just kind of moving, and he freaked out because he was like, that's not Missy. Where's Missy? You know, he was scared someone was in the room with her. So he runs into the house, runs up the stairs, and he goes into her room, and she's by herself asleep in bed. So he has no idea what that was. Now other stuff happened, such as the front door came off its hinges and windows being smashed, which I'm sure some of you are like, oh, that's just crazy weather. You know, it's the wind, it's bad storms. That had to have done that. But apparently the night that all that happened, there was no crazy weather stuff. So you're wrong. Another crazy thing that happened to George, just really seems like George is getting picked on at this point. He woke up one night to the sound of a marching band down in the living room. No one else heard this because everyone else was asleep. But of course, as soon as he goes down to check it out, it stops. Go figure. But the Lutz family finally decided they've had enough. They're gonna leave the house, and they end up moving in with Kathy's mother out in Long Island. And they refused to set foot back into the house. Soon after this, word got out about what had happened, and it caught the attention of the Warrens. If you haven't heard of the Warrens, what, have you been living under a rock? Ed and Lorraine Warren are very popular in the paranormal community. They go into people's homes that are having problems with hauntings, and they try to help them by either taking away the object that is haunted and taking it to their museum, or they try to talk with the spirits by conducting a seance and trying to figure out what's going on. That's what they do, or did. I don't think they're alive anymore, so that's what they did. By the way, don't ever do seances. That is never the solution. Just thought I'd add that in there for you. Well, the Warrens ended up going into the home in 1976 to conduct a seance and try to get to the bottom of what was happening there with the hauntings. Now, Lorraine claimed to be clairvoyant, so she claimed to be able to sense things that others can't. While they were there, they brought doctors and researchers to try to conduct experiments to try to catch and see what was going on there and see if they can capture anything. Well, apparently, Ed and Lorraine experienced something that was so crazy, they told the Lutz family that they could not help them. However, the doctors and the researchers didn't experience anything. They didn't catch anything, they didn't experience anything. The only thing that they supposedly caught was a picture of this demon child, they call it, that supposedly looks like John DeFeo, but we don't know if that's real or fake. Could have been a doctored photo. Now, 2 years after the Lutz family experienced all the hauntings in the home and left, a book came out with their story. It sold over 3 million copies, then later turned into a major motion picture and grossed over $80 million. Then after that, they ended up touring to promote their book as a true story. However, I have issues with this being a true story, and so do a lot of other people. First of all, I have an issue with them buying the DeFeo's personal items and then leaving them in the house as the DeFeo family had them. To me, it sounds like they're setting up the story to make it seem creepy, like, oh, the DeFeos haunted them and they kept the same stuff, and I don't know. Just doesn't seem right to me. It doesn't sit well. But honestly, let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know if you find this perfectly normal, because I really don't. I mean, just think about it. If you were to purchase this home that you knew a family was murdered in, and they had all their belongings in the house, and they offered to sell the belongings to you for $400, would you buy them and then reuse them as if they were your own? Would you? I wouldn't. The only reason why I would buy their items was to sell them. Make some money. There's no way I'm gonna use that for myself. I mean, that's the only reason, and I really don't even think I would do that. I would see if they could go to some, like, the nearest family member or something. I don't know. I just could not purchase those items. Just gives me the heebie-jeebies. The next problem I have is that before they even moved in, they had a priest come to bless the house. Now, first of all, let me express that I find nothing wrong with people having a priest or pastor come in and bless a home that is new to you. My father-in-law is a pastor. Every home that my husband and I have lived in, I have had him come in and ask the blessing over the home because I'm paranoid. I'm a paranoid human being. I do not want to move into a house that could be haunted and be suffering from it. That's just me. We've lived in 4 homes in our 10 years of marriage, and I have had him bless every single one of them. So that's just me. Just something I do, because you never know. So I kind of get this. But I also feel like this was their way of getting the story going, you know, making it sound more interesting, because they're able to put in the priest's experience, okay? I find like they were setting the scene in a way. So that's why I have a problem with it. But apparently the priest going to the house the first time never happened, because apparently Butch's lawyer contacted the priest that the Lutz claimed to have had come to their house, and the priest denied ever setting foot into the house or talking to the Lutzes. Also, I don't know of any priest or pastor to have an experience like what the Lutzes priest said he had with the flies and the get out, not tell the homeowner what they experienced. I can't see any priest or pastor not telling them what happened. You know, I can't. I don't know why he would have kept that to himself. Now we know it's really just a part of their story, their way of not knowing that it was haunted when they moved in. Then they stated that the first night their personalities changed drastically. Things like personality changes that I've seen, listened to, read into over the years that I've been watching stuff about the paranormal. Now, it doesn't make me an expert at all, but I've noticed that when it comes to personality changes, it doesn't happen overnight. It's one of those things that gradually changes. Like if, like with a demonic possession, the demon or spirit wears you down and drains you, and it's usually not overnight. I'm not saying it doesn't happen or couldn't happen. I'm just saying that's what I've noticed, is it's not immediate. Now, I know when people go into a house or whatever, they can feel things, like they can feel dread or sadness or or I don't know, whatever a spirit wants you to feel. They can feel that, but that doesn't mean their personality changes. It's a different feeling they're getting from the spirit. If you understand what I'm saying. That's my opinion on it. Let me know your opinion. You could have a completely different opinion than me. Let me know, because I really don't know. Like I said, I'm not an expert. This is just what I've seen. I've never experienced something like this, so I don't have firsthand account. I can't tell you this is exactly. So if you have any insight, let me know. As for the black stains in the toilet and the green slime and the jello goo, first of all, ew, sounds like a bad time. Just stop it, I need to stop. Honestly, it sounds like an old 1930s horror movie. First of all, why would the spirits haunting the house put black goo in a toilet? Makes me think of like the spirits having a staff meeting or something, where the head one's like, how can we make this family miserable? What are your ideas? Goo in the toilet. They'll never see it coming. Brilliant. That's what we'll do. Now about Ed and Lorraine Warren's experiences, honestly, there's a lot of speculation on Ed and Lorraine Warren. Some people believe they're fakes and just in it for the money, and other people believe that they're amazing and could do no wrong. I have no opinion. All I know is that they are a big part of the paranormal community. They gave it momentum, I guess. I don't know. They tried to help people. I don't know if them helping people was real or if it was just a way for them to make a movie, get a profit. I haven't looked into them as much. As for the Lutz family, my opinion is I think they made it all up. I have no doubts that the house could be haunted because of the history that it has with the murders. And usually when a traumatic thing like murder happens, it can be a place for spirits to flock or linger just because of the energy it gives, just because of like it imprints it, I guess. I really don't know how to explain that, but usually when something really bad happens somewhere, that place is haunted because of what happened there. Also, in the hauntings that they experienced, it doesn't seem, other than the demon picture of John, it doesn't seem like the DeFeos are haunting it. It seems like a demon is haunting it, or demons, or just a bunch of random spirits, like I don't know, a band of spirits. I like what George was experiencing with the band downstairs. It just seems like the DeFeo family wasn't haunting it, that it was a demon, which I think was what they were trying to go for, but I don't know. I'm just blabbing now. Now, one weird thing was that the Lutzes did take a polygraph test and they passed. Take that as you will. I take polygraph tests, I take it with a grain of salt because they're not always legit. You know, they can't be used in a court of law. So, not saying they need to be in this case, but I'm just saying if the court can't take it as a way of determining whether someone's telling the truth or not, then I don't know why we should either. But a lot of people have opinions on polygraphs and how they work and all that stuff. So, I still think it was fake. I want to know, do you guys think all the stories are real? Do you believe that what they experienced was true? Or do you think it was fake? What do you think? I want to know your guys' opinions and theories because I feel like a lot of you think of different things that I never thought of and helps me learn too. Now, the house is privately owned. It was last sold in 2017, I think, either 2016 or 2017 for $605,000. They changed the address to 108 Ocean Avenue in hopes that no one would be able to find the house. They also changed those weird windows that were at the top that kind of made the house famous, you know what I mean? They took those out and made them into normal square windows, but people still found the house. They know exactly where it's at, so none of that stuff helped. Around the anniversary of the murders, a lot of people will go and sit outside the house and just stare at it, I guess, waiting for something to happen, or they'll just go and gawk at it like this is so fascinating, which is really weird to me, but it is very popular, and a lot of the homeowners that have lived there are just like, please don't come to my house. Like, it's weird having random people sitting outside. Now, another reason why I don't think it's haunted is because all of the people that have lived there after the Lutz family said that they never experienced anything paranormal. So either the Lutz family was haunted themselves or they lied, which it's very possible they could have been picked on by a demon that just wanted to follow them around. But as far as I know, the haunting stopped for the Lutzes when they moved out. So there's that. If I was wrong and they really did suffer through all those hauntings, I feel really bad because that would be horrific. I would hate to live through that. I wouldn't have lived through that as long as they did. They're a little more gutsier than I am, but yeah. Anyways, that's it for me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell because I am here for you every Wednesday at 10 a.m. and I will see you guys next week. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye!